All right, boys, we're going to talk about something a little different today. I've been seeing some videos on my feed that are talking about this new FMCSA rule. I'll be honest, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but from what I've seen and read on it, it looks like it makes it to where the brokers cannot make you sign away your right to see how much the load is paying, because the way it is now, legally speaking, they are required to disclose to you how much a load is paying, but it is perfectly legal for them to just make you sign away that right, and they do that in the broker carrier agreement, so you never know what the load pays. Well, this new rule, I guess, outlaws that. And I'm also seeing that they have 48 hours. I'm assuming 48 hours from the time that you book the load. I'm not sure. I'm just seeing something about a 48-hour mark, which would mean probably that you would have the load delivered, and then they'll tell you what the load pays. If there's a way around something, a broker will find it. I know that. So anyway, that being said, I really don't use brokers much anymore. And if I do use one, I use one that I know and I trust. I don't trust 100%, but I trust more than the others. First 3 years I was in this business back in 2018. Especially the first year, you really learn who the good and the bad are when it comes to brokers. You learn it really quick. Usually with just one load, that's all it takes. I mean, that's it. One load, and you're like, never again am I running with that broker. And it's usually something from harassing phone calls to threats that they might say. You know, they want to nickel and dime you for everything. If you don't get your paperwork sent to them within a certain amount of time, they're gonna take away money from you. If just anything. I've seen ridiculous things on there. So you really learn pretty quickly. But I'm to a point now where I have a guy who I can trust, and I have just a handful of brokers, and I just work with that. I know there's a lot of people who are saying, just don't take cheap freight, just don't use the brokers, just run everything direct. And it's so easy, like, for me to want to say that, but I really got to think about what I'm saying when it comes to things like that, because I do recognize that not everybody is in the same situation as me. I'm in Oklahoma. I'm in a good economy. I know that some people are in areas where the economy is horrible. California, for instance. Some people, their trucks all of a sudden were illegal. I do understand if, it's like the only freight you can take. Say if that happened here in Oklahoma, I would hope that I would just move somewhere where the freight was good, but I like it here and I don't want to move. That's a hard thing to do. And to just say that about somebody else, I can't do that. I can't just say, well, they should move. If that's been your home all your life, you don't want to just up and leave. So I'm just not going to do that. And I do know that there are people who get into trucking who are from other countries, and they, don't know the ins and outs of everything yet. And I know this much, $20, like, to me, to somebody who grew up, here in America, $20 doesn't seem like much. $20 to somebody who just came here from, like, India? Shoot, that lasts them the whole week. I mean, that seems like a lot of money to them. Sometimes money that to us seems like isn't a whole lot of money, and that, we're not making much on, and to other people might seem like, they made it, they're doing good. I can't imagine if I went to another country and tried to learn all the ropes, the ins and outs. God, just the language is going to be enough, assuming I'm somewhere where they don't speak English. Got a break-in period for sure. So I'm not going to blame it on those people, and I have heard that a lot in the industry. I'll just go to myself and rather than blaming everything on other people, I have to figure out what I need to do. And I think I've I've done that. But I mean, hell, there's people who do a lot better than me, who make a lot more than I do by the mile, or however they get paid. And hell, they might be looking at me like I'm the problem. We're all at different points in our lives, and for me to think that just because somebody else is at a different point in their life, that they should all of a sudden be at the same point that I'm at, the same point in my life that I'm at, that's not fair. Even with brokers, I know it's easy to talk trash about brokers, but at the end of the day, the brokers they've had the power for the last, pretty much since I've got into this. I got into it mid 2018. The brokers, they run the show. So if you run the show, you have leverage. That goes the same with truckers. If truckers all of a sudden had all the power, yeah, you're going to see guys who are, they're going to be ripping off brokers, telling them, no, man, you're going to pay me that rate or I'm not going to run it. And, they know that you're the only guy that they have. That's just how it works. I can't blame somebody for getting as much money as they can possibly get. And when you're with large corporations, who a lot of these brokers are, you're not going to develop relationships with any of these drivers. They come and they go, and you work with so many different drivers, you don't have any time to remember any of the drivers you work with. So you might work with the same guy as a driver, twice in a month. He ain't going to remember you. He's probably worked with 60 other drivers. All I can do is hope that those guys who are forced to be in a situation to where they're taking cheap freight, I hope that they can pull themselves out of that and build a better life for themselves. I'm not going to sit there and bash them, and I know that's easy to do because misery loves company, and even though I'm doing pretty well, that's a miserable way of looking at things at the end of the day. I do hope that the FMCSA rule does do some good. I'm pretty libertarian though, which is, I know it's ironic, I'm a truck driver. But I'm as libertarian as I can be. I guess you can say that. But I already know government is stuck up my butt as a truck driver. I just don't really think that government intervention really fixes anything, and oftentimes, historically speaking, government intervention has made things quite a bit worse. And I never really do know if they are actually trying to make the situation better or if they are intentionally making it worse. You never know. There's where conspiracy theories come into play. Anyway, guys, man, I've rambled on for a long time, and just try to make the situation for yourself as good as you can. And if you can help out another guy, then do that. And I can say with absolute certainty that if it came to a choice between me hauling cheap freight and quitting this altogether and going back to working for somebody, I'm hauling that cheap freight all day, boys. Better believe that. So you got to remember that some of these guys, they're just weighing their options. And once you become independent and you don't have a boss anymore, you will go through heaven and hell to make sure it stays that way.